Villarreal were utterly embarrassed in their return to the Champions League with just 1 point from their first 6 games and some disastrous results. Qualification for the knockouts can now be ruled out with 2 games still to play, but while this would be part of a wider crisis at most clubs, it's tougher to analyse at Villarreal. That's because it comes alongside Villarreal's best ever start to a La Liga season, and they're 1 point off Real Madrid with a game in hand. This makes their European run even more baffling. It's a strong side with a lot of depth, and they play some brilliant football in La Liga, but this hasn't translated at all to Europe. Here's why I think it was such a disaster. Without trying to make excuses, Villarreal were dealt a bad hand with the fixture list. Their 4 hardest games on paper came in the first 5 game weeks, and they couldn't get any points on the board or any momentum going. Here's a game-by-game breakdown. Villarreal went away to Tottenham in game week 1, but an early goalkeeping error from Luis Jr. consigned them to defeat, despite being the better team on the night. Juventus at home was their best game of the campaign, and they drew 2-2 in a strong but frustrating performance as they threw away a lead. Man City was up next, and again, Villarreal didn't play badly, but Erling Haaland proved too much for them to handle. The biggest problem came in the 4th game away at Paphos. This was a game that Villarreal simply had to win in Cyprus, and they lost 1-0 in a dismal performance. Marcelino was furious at the players, and rightly so, because this was the opportunity to get some points on the board and climb up the table. This also meant Dortmund away became a must-win game, and Villarreal started the better team again, but then refereeing decisions, a red card, a penalty, and suddenly, it's a thrashing, it's 4-0, what can you do? This meant that by the time Copenhagen came to Villarreal, it was a must-win game just to even keep any sort of remote hope alive. And what did Villarreal do? They conceded in the first minute, shocking defending throughout the game, and they lost 3-2 at home, and frankly, you get what you deserve at that point. Why is there such a difference in performance levels in Europe compared to La Liga though? I think it's partly to do with a lack of composure. Pape Gueye and Santi Comesaña are 2 very good midfielders, and this pivot works in a lot of games, but in these tough European fixtures, you need someone like Dani Parejo, but a younger version. Someone to put his foot on the ball, to slow the game down, to play at their own pace. Villarreal are a team that thrive in transition, but in these Champions League games, attackers such as Nicolas Pepe, Mikhail Tadze, Buchanan, they all underperform when given chances in front of goal. Rotation has been a constant theme throughout the season, and in theory this should mean that Villarreal have fresh players going to these Champions League games. The problem is that there's no continuity. There's been question marks over the goalkeeper, there's been constant rotation in the back line, injuries as well. In midfield, Parejo's legs are gone, same with Thomas Partey. On the wings, Molera took some time to settle, so did Buchanan, and it just meant there was no one consistent player dragging Villarreal through these tough games. Gerard Moreno was injured. He's now flying, but in these Champions League games he wasn't there. After the Paphos defeat, there seemed to be some sort of mentality shift where Villarreal looked really comfortable in La Liga and played really well, really organised at the back, but in these Champions League games it seemed like their heads were elsewhere. It almost felt like they were overawed by the occasion too many times. What happens next with Villarreal though? It's not a crisis, but it is an embarrassment and there are lessons to be learned. But there's still a lot to look forward to. If Villarreal can keep pace with Barcelona and Real Madrid and beat them both at home, then in the second half of the season, without European football, you'd back them to get top 4. And a second season in the Champions League, with a bit more consistency, may go a hell of a lot better than this season did.